Hello, my name is Adrian Gomez, and this is a proposal prepared for the Albuquerque City Council, and it has to do with the homeless situation in Albuquerque, and one way we can help get homeless off the streets through implementing a tent city. The homeless situation in Albuquerque has gotten far worse over the past 10 or so years. At any given night, there are over 6,000 homeless people in the streets of Albuquerque. It's gotten about as bad as one homeless person per night actually dies. Poverty is a main cause for homelessness. Albuquerque is ranked 5th in the poverty rating. Health is another big cause for homelessness. There are a lot of people with mental health in the homeless community. And another big one is drug abuse. Drug and alcohol abuse is really popular amongst homeless people. Insufficient amount of shelters in place is definitely a big cause of homeless people actually living on the streets because there's not enough room in the shelters. Some of these effects are it's very unsafe for our communities in Albuquerque, and it's very unsafe for the actual homeless people because they're having to live in harsh winters and brutal summers outside without any shelter, and there's a lot of mischief and crime involved with homeless people. There's overcrowding in shelters. They're actually having to turn people away every night, women and children, and because of that, there are makeshift tent cities being erected around the city in people's own backyards, people's neighborhoods, and that's causing a big stir up because it makes our city look bad, and the neighbors are actually getting fairly angry about it. So my idea is to establish a permanent tent city somewhere in Albuquerque, and that would be safe because we'd be getting a lot of homeless people off of the actual streets. Be effective because the shelters will be able to have a lot more women and children, and be able to get a lot more people in because these people are actually going to have makeshift homes, and it's going to be relatively cheap because the tent city is theoretically self-sustaining because there's no houses to build or rent to pay or such because they live in a tent. So the cost, we're looking from anywhere between $250,000 to $300,000, and that would be mainly just for the land and for the plumbing of the land. So, and if we can possibly get this land donated by a good Samaritan looking to help our community and help the homeless community, that would be great. Additional services that we want to have at this proposed tent city are restrooms. That way it's nice and sanitary. A trash pickup, that way they don't litter the area and destroy the area. And a clean water source would be nice. That way they can shower and be able to have drinking water and be able to live. And theoretically, these tent cities are to be self-sustaining because they live out of a tent. They don't live out of a house or anything. Some benefits would be increased safety for our homeless community and our regular community. It's relatively low cost because they are self-sustaining, and it makes our city look so much better by providing a place for these homeless people to have shelter and not just be living on the side of the road or in somebody's backyard in a tent. And it'll ease the stress on local shelters. That way they can get a breather and be able to improve on their methods. So in conclusion, a tent city is a cheap, self-sustaining way of making the homeless community in Albuquerque a lot safer, and it'll help Albuquerque become a cleaner city, and it'll help these homeless people really start turning their lives around. Thank you for your time.